Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
And I'm Paul Hankins.
And I'm Trevor Hankins.
And welcome to On the Air with Power Squared. This week we're going to talk about twins in popular culture.
Yeah.
Partly because Power Squared has twins as the main characters.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we wanted to do, because you guys are identical twins, everybody's not hip to that. And we also wanted to sort of talk about, one of the reasons we wanted to do the comic book was because of how twins are represented in pop culture.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do a little, make it kind of more realistic maybe.
Yeah.
Because twins are not, even identical twins don't necessarily always look alike, don't dress alike, aren't necessarily troublemakers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. When I was growing up, and when I found out I was going to be the father of twins, it was all this sort of, they always show in sitcoms when I was growing up that you can't tell twins apart. Oh no, what are you gonna do? And so I was like, oh no, that was ingrained in me.
So I messed up your perception.
Yeah. Like, oh no. But obviously it worked out.
Yes.
But I tell you, it's just they kind of got you kind of worried about stuff when they. So we're trying to represent twins as, I guess, more typical, we think, of how twins are, not as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Represented more as individuals.
So kind of, where do you guys think are the stereotypes about twins?
See, based on what we've seen and also other observations that we've read, it's generally like either can't tell them apart.
Right.
They are polar opposites.
Right.
Like one is like one extreme and the other extreme. It's never in the middle.
The good twin and the bad twin.
Yeah, the good twin, evil twin is kind of related. Troublemakers, taking advantage of being twins.
Right.
Or again, like one's a troublemaker and one is not.
Right.
Twin language, psychic link.
Yeah, like twins have their own language and they know exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah, right.
In the case of like, it also kind of translates to superpowers, where a lot of it is like, oh, they're complementary powers, or they have to be near each other or touching each other, or
right.
Something like that.
Yeah. So have you guys ever had a psychic? Ever thought you could read what the other one was thinking? Ever?
Not like literally, but
right.
We could. I guess there's been around each other enough that to an extent we can kind of guess what the other might be thinking.
Yeah.
Or predict what the other might do.
In some ways, that comes with a close relationship.
Yeah.
You kind of anticipate what you think they're going to say. Not always right, but you do kind of think you know what they're going to say, or know what they're thinking, or know the answer to the question when you ask. And it doesn't always work out that way. And so I assume that's kind of the same thing with twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know from experience is that a twin is, especially if you're a close twin, it's like your twin is another, like, half of you.
Right. Do you ever, I mean, that's sort of, I think it's weird when you see older twins, and usually I'll say it's older women.
Right. And
they still are, or they are dressing alike and all that, which just sort of means like you haven't really separated.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Just because even from like the beginning, Trevor and I tried to be like, even when we were young, we tried to be distinct.
Well, we never tried to dress you like lookalikes either.
Yeah.
And but it's weird to me, and it's sort of like you haven't developed into your own personality if you're still at 70 years old living together and dressing the same and trying to it just, I mean, it's
you don't have to be exactly the same all the time.
You can have a close relationship without being exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I think it'd make it more interesting if you're not.
Yeah.
And then there are also the twins you meet, because you're twins, people would say, oh, I'm a twin.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, oh, where's the other half? Or where's the, you don't have to, it's not something it marks you necessarily.
No.
A big T on your forehead for
Although
twin.
because we're together, what?
Another stereotype is like one feels pain, the other does.
You're hurting him.
I feel pain at exactly the same time that the other one does.
Right.
yeah. Kind of forgot what I was gonna say, but it was just related to like being in a relationship.
Okay, so I've talked a little bit about my growing up with twins on different sitcoms and
Yeah.
stuff.
I just remember what I was about to say before we move on.
Okay.
So the camera needs to get into focus. Because we were together all the time, because it was just natural to us.
Mm-hmm.
People just kind of saw us as like one unit.
Right. I remember walking with one of you someplace. It was a mall.
Yeah.
And there was a kid from one of your classes from school, and hey, there goes Paul and Trevor. And it was just one kid, but he saw you as a unit, even if there's only one of you there. It's kind of interesting. And I don't think it was the kid he thought it was that we were walking with. So, So, the first, when you tell somebody superhero twins, who does everybody think of?
The Wonder Twins.
Yes, not Power Squared, but yeah, they think of
one of these days.
Yes, and they first came about through Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
And
let's bring up a picture.
Right. So if you're not familiar, they're what's kind of typical in some ways of superheroes, at least in American pop culture, is they're from another planet.
Yeah.
They're from I forgot the name of the planet. I wrote all this up about a month ago in our newsletter, The Hound Dog's Howl, and talked about them. But they're from a foreign planet. They're trying to mingle with humans. They've taken sort of, I'll say earthling names or whatever.
Right.
And they have to touch.
Yeah.
In order
Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yeah. I'm always amazed that there's no sneaking up on somebody when you have to yell this, or in Transformers and some of the early stuff. Transformers, transform. Well, okay, you're not going to surprise anybody if you have to yell that out every time you do it. But yeah, they have to touch each other in order to activate their powers.
Yeah, I remember actually. The Wonder Twins was the prime example for so long that even shows like Fairly Odd Parents made fun of it. And that was like our exposure to the idea of the Wonder Twins, I think. Right?
Shape of a shark, shape of a bucket of water.
So that's everybody, and then they've not really been used that much recently. I think that about 3 or 4 years ago they appeared on the cover of some Marvel publication, but they're not really active.
Or DC.
DC? Is it DC?
Yeah, DC.
Oh, what do I know? It's all the same to me. No, I'm kidding. But they did appear on the cover of a DC publication, and that was a couple years ago. And
what did you think about the Wonder Twins from doing research on them?
In some ways, they seem like a Hanna-Barbera creation.
Yeah.
And there was somebody else that created it with them, and I'm sorry I forgot the name of the person, but it was somebody in Hanna and Barbera. It's sort of what, again, it's a little typical, and these are not obviously identical twins; they're fraternal twins.
Yeah.
But again,
which will be a running theme in this.
Yes. They're they have to be from another planet in order to have these powers, and they're kind of that trying to look hip kind of thing at the same time, and they're kind of not, which is kind of what Hanna-Barbera was really good at doing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they would be the superhero twins that would catch on. I mean, there really is not a lot of superhero twins out there.
No.
As we will discuss. But it's just sort of, and then I want to say the touching of each other isn't unique to them either.
No, probably not.
There used to be when I was a kid, there was some cartoon where they had a ring and had half of the ring and they had to put it together, and
right,
that kind of stuff. And say Shazam, I'm not sure if that was true, but they had to say something in order to activate the powers or whatever. So it's kind of in some ways kind of stereotypical superhero kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was their background at least kind of interesting?
Yeah, they had been sort of, because of they had these powers, and again, I'm sure there's somebody out there if they're watching that knows way more about this than I do. They're from another planet, and they were unique and in that environment to have these powers, and they ended up being kind of circus freaks.
Right.
And somebody, the Laugh Maker or somebody, took pity on them and educated them and helped them escape, and they ended up with sort of a dog-like pet that's not a dog,
right?
But escaped to Earth and met the Justice League PC, and they went back to their home planet to do something, and it was, and then they were one of it was one of Bruce Wayne's scientist friends raised them on Earth.
Right.
So it was all tied back in to it. All right, so enough about the lack of knowledge we have is amazing. So,
quick, let's change the subject before they figure that
out. Look over there. So, a more recent example of twins,
yes,
who are featured in a show was Dipper and Mabel Pines in Gravity Falls.
Yes.
This is the box set?
Yeah, the complete series Blu-ray.
And signed by
Alex Hirsch, the creator.
So, and he needs a plug, so.
It is a good show, though.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So, I said they don't have powers, really. Right?
No.
They're just curious kids.
Yeah.
Or actually.
The supernatural gets involved.
Right.
Yes.
But they don't actually have any
right
powers. They're just
no.
interested in the mysteries of going on in this Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
So
Dipper is the more inquisitive one. Mabel is the sillier one.
Yeah, and she's the one that makes friends, where Dipper is sort of, kind of more of a...
Yeah.
She also gets away with everything.
Yes.
Yes. As
the universe bends over backwards to her.
And she's the older by 5 minutes or something.
Some really short amount of time.
And maybe a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
A millimeter.
Yeah. As a series, it was pretty good. There were some things about it that kind of bugged me about when the series do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or like, Halloween's in the middle of the summer, that we make up an event kind of a deal to do that kind of stuff because they want Halloween. What?
Summerween.
Summerween. I mean, that's okay. That would be really weird. That'd be very mysterious. Why is this town doing this?
Yeah.
Or like having, July Christmas, which they didn't do. But I mean, that you're kind of forcing a holiday in there because everybody expects you to have a Halloween show.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. But otherwise, and it got really way serious.
Yeah.
At the kind of the last half of the last, there was only 2 seasons. It took like 4 years. But it got really
In the back half, it got a lot more. It got darker and more serious.
And do you think that was? I mean, do you think he was trying to blow up the world, kind of a big ending, or?
I'm going to guess that he already had those. At some point in the development, he had those ideas planned.
Yeah.
But it was taking a long time to actually get the show made and aired. So he pasted like that.
Because it
was also his first time as a showrunner.
Yeah, but I mean, it sort of got a little out of character in some ways. It stopped being kind of fun. It was like, a little more serious. And I think he supposedly has said he only envisioned it running 2 years.
Right.
So it just got super intense in the last 6 episodes or whatever it was.
I think part of what happened was he when he came up with Bell Cipher, he really kind of fell in love with the character, so he wanted to do a lot more with him.
Right. So how do you guys feel about the representation of twins?
Well, let's see. Apart from, again, Mabel gets away with everything, and there's that kind of dichotomy in their personalities. it's generally a better depiction, I would say, because, well, again, there is that sort of dichotomy in their personalities to help make it easier probably to write them. They do at least go through their own like level of character development. And they show an understanding with each other, and you get a sense of them as individuals.
Sorry, and do you think it helps that Alex Hirsch himself is a twin?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, that was.
I was gonna say because Alex Hirsch is a twin, it felt more genuine.
Right.
Yeah. It was truer to his experience.
Yeah, they seem to have more of a kind of a relationship that you could see that they cared about each other, and even though they're always probably thrust together.
Yeah. So, again, while they are fraternal twins,
right?
That's a more realistic depiction.
Now, are there any identical twins we want to talk about?
Yes. One group of identical twins that some might be familiar with are Zach and Cody Martin from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Okay.
I will say I didn't really watch the show, so I don't have too much to comment on that. So I guess you could say it gets a pass for now. But I mean, considering how long it ran and the fact that it got a spin-off, it must have done something right. I am aware, though, that there is at least one of them is like the troublemaker.
So
I think it might lean into some stereotypes, probably because it was one of those teen/tween sitcoms.
Is this a Nickelodeon or?
I think it was Disney.
Disney? Yeah, it was
Disney.
It was one of them Disney sitcoms.
All right.
Although I think they were played by actual twins.
You would hope so. Be a lot of extra filming or taping or whatever.
I think they were played by actual twins, so they at least had that going for them.
Right. Well, that's
good, and we can't make a comment on it because we haven't actually watched the show.
Yeah,
but we just
wanted to at least bring it up.
You know how long it ran?
God, I think it ran for at least 3 seasons. I researched this like months ago, so I forgot a lot of it.
No, but it's kind of
had a boat themed spin-off.
Really?
They were on a boat.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting to see shows where the characters actually do they kind of we don't know, we didn't watch the show. Did they grow as characters or anything that kind of stuff? I'm sure they got older.
I think they did grow as characters. I actually remember reading one specific episode that actually sounded interesting. I'm gonna fumble this because I don't remember every character's name, but there's a supporting character who is revealed to have a brother, and when his brother shows up, there's obvious animosity between them. So I forget if it was Zach or Cody. They got one of them when they were getting into a argument about something. One of them decided to like vent it all out, and he explained that it was because he didn't want to end up he didn't want them to grow up being like really bitter at each other.
Okay.
So he wanted to resolve it.
Okay. So twins as peacemaker, right?
Yeah.
All right. Any other identical twins
probably the most recent example for identical twins, not necessarily as like the main characters but part of an ensemble, would be Lana and Lola Loud from The Loud House.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've actually been watching that show. I will very quickly say we think the show has kind of gone downhill in quality. We don't know if it's because it was after Chris Savino was fired. I won't get into that.
Right.
As it's beyond the scope of the podcast.
Yes.
But anyway, that aside, Lana and Lola Loud are, that's definitely the stereotypical dichotomy. Like, one is the dirty one is the clean one.
Basically.
Yeah, one of them, like the clean one also likes to do beauty pageants, and the dirty one likes getting dirty.
Yeah. Motocross.
Eating garbage.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually happens.
Wild animals.
So
Yeah.
you think they're closer to the stereotype, or one of the stereotypes of one's good, one's bad. Or one's clean, one's dirty, one's this, one's that.
There was actually, I remember there was actually an entire episode about, like, it leaned into the twin thing, but it still kind of fell into stereotypes to us.
Yeah. Probably came from the fact that, unlike Gravity Falls, there was no, like, realistic foundation for that. Like, I get it's a Nick's show for kids, but it's to us as adults with our adult experience.
Yes.
It's like have the writers do the writers know anything about?
Yeah, and I assume that is kind of probably typical of a lot of not only twins, but, like, there's a lot of guys writing for women parts and probably don't know what, and where it can get into the huge spectrum of rainbow of colors and all that. But I'm sure there's people that are trying to write for something they know nothing about.
Yeah.
Like people writing about video games that have never played them and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is another whole
Yeah.
whole podcast if we want to go that way. All right. So, what about the twins from Scott Pilgrim? Are they?
Yes, the Kadiyanagi twins. They appear in Volume 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are they identical?
Scott Pilgrim versus the Universe. Yes, they're identical Japanese twins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the movie, they don't really speak.
They're very good part.
It was pretty much a cameo.
Yeah. So the Kadiyanagi twins are antagonists in Volume 5.
There's a lot more character development there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot more character development in the comic than there is in the movie, but you can excuse the movie because they were trying to shove 6 volumes into like 90 minutes.
Right.
To 2 hours.
And the movie works really well. By the
Yeah.
way. For somebody that never read any of it, it was a good movie.
Yeah, so I recommend both.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Kadiyanagi twins. It's been a while since I read this volume, actually.
But do you get a sense that they're distinct people, or are they written as sort of one half of the
they're
whole?
given enough development to work as like the antagonists of the issue of the volume.
Your audio is cutting out for me.
They're given enough development to serve as the antagonist.
Now, it's her exes, right?
Yeah, her exes.
So did she date both twins at the same time, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. You know,
Yeah.
I actually forget the exact details.
I do know in the comic and the video game, their thing is robots.
Yeah, because for comedy, it also falls into like they hit the Japanese thing of like the mecha genre and having robots. The Kadiyanagi twins are kind of a unit again because they're supposed to be like the antagonistic force, and they're not necessarily the highlight. That's a little more understandable.
Okay. All right. You brought up Masi Manos
From Teen Titans. We're at least familiar with the cartoon Teen Titans, and
Yes.
Masi Manos were minor characters. Their whole thing is like a positive and negative, and they have to be constantly touching.
Yeah, they can move really fast, but only while they're touching each other.
That's it.
So they're a little bit like the Wonder Twins in that way.
Right. Now, are they identical twins? Or are they fraternal twins? Or
Identical.
identical? So even
And
And they speak Spanish.
Yeah.
well, with Mas y Menos' names, I would assume they did.
Yeah. So that kind of brings up the idea of like a lot of the time when twins show up in stories, they can end up being minor characters or gimmick characters.
Right.
Like in that case, I would consider that a gimmick character.
Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't really have a comment.
Okay. Just so something that I think Trevor and maybe you too can talk about are Jetfire and Jetstorm from Transformers.
It was from
Transformers animated.
yeah.
Okay. And what about them? Are they identical twins? Are they just made at the same time? Or
Yeah, they show up, for the record, they show up in season 3, and they made their debut in a comic book that came with the toys.
okay.
Yeah.
They were created at the same time, and for lore reasons, they're the rare Autobots that can fly.
Okay.
And their whole thing is that they're not only can they combine into robot
Safeguard.
safeguard, but their jet modes can also combine.
Now, isn't
And
okay.
sorry, Jetfire has fire powers, and Jetstorm has wind powers.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, isn't Optimus Prime sort of a twin? He has a brother that was made at the same time he was. Would that not make him a twin, or that's just
That's in Robots in Disguise 2001.
okay?
Yeah, specifically in that series, I suppose that would, in a way, if they were made at the same time, I guess that would make them a twin, even if they don't say it.
Right. I'm just trying to add a little something.
Right.
Look at that old guy. He actually said something. So what?
Although, while we're at it, watch the 2001 series.
What do you guys think about Jetfire and Jetstorm as far as their representation of twins?
They're minor characters, so they don't have much screen time.
Yeah.
Do you remember what their purpose was in the show?
Uh,
I know it's been a while.
from memory, it was like they were trained to be part of the Autobot elite guard, and because they can fly, the idea is that they'll be a weapon against, or they would be able to fight against the Decepticons who can fly.
Right.
Okay. So do you think that perhaps twins are minor characters because the population of twins is not necessarily that high?
Probably.
Everybody. I grew up. There was a pair of twins in school.
Yeah.
That we used to all beat up. I'm kidding. They were a pair of twins from. I think they're from New York. They were very New York-ish kind of kids.
Yeah.
And they would actually be they would sit in each other's classes and stuff like that because teachers couldn't tell them apart.
Right.
And they were perfectly nice guys, but they were, and I forget the point I'm trying to make here, but they were just sort of everybody. As I was trying to say, everybody knows a twin.
Yeah.
Twins. I remember you had a principal in elementary school that remembered you guys because you always remember the twins.
Yeah.
So it's, kind of everybody knows one, but there's not that many in some cases. Sometimes there's like 7 or 8 in a school, and that's kind of rare.
Right.
But usually it's like one pair or two. Did you ever run across other twins when you were growing up?
Hardly. I'm not sure it happened that often.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
So there's something to be said for that being the reason that they're usually depicted as minor characters. But again, it does fall into a lot of stereotypes because of probably a limited exposure.
Right. Okay, I was just trying to maybe justify some.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not?
From what I remember about Jetfire and Jetstorm, I think they sounded like vaguely Russian or something. I don't quite remember.
Like, they were alright, I guess. They served a story purpose.
Okay. We recently watched Fena. I know I mispronounced it. Fena the Pirate Princess,
Yeah.
and there were twins in there.
Yeah. And I should say something if I had to look up the names, even after watching all 12 episodes.
Yes.
Anju and Kaide.
Yeah.
They were okay, I guess.
I mean, they were basically the same character, just two of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was like they felt stereotypical.
they seem to have the same talents, the same, goals. There was really no distinction really between the two of them, at least as far
Yeah,
as...
it was almost like a copy paste.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe they ended up copying it by accident. Well, let's just make him a character. But yeah, I mean, they were enjoyable. I didn't hate them or anything. They were enjoyable characters. They were just pretty much the same.
Yeah.
One of two.
But again, I should say something if I didn't really remember their names afterwards.
Right. I'm throwing a little curveball in here, but
Yeah.
Thing 1 and Thing 2 from The Cat in the Hat are kind of twins as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we think of them as. They may be one may be 30 years old and the other, but they look the same. But they kind of look like they're twins. Thing 1 and Thing 2. Yeah. So I just thought I'd throw that in for total culture.
Right.
Even though we saw that Cat in the Hat thing that was horrible video, it was one of the first ones we said we're getting rid of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The animated Cat in the Hat,
not the book.
Or the
The
live
book
action.
is a classic.
I was gonna say, or the live action.
Yeah, which
The less said about that one, the better.
right. I just thought I would throw that out there. Sorry.
But I digress.
Yes, I did. So there was a recent Star Wars Visions
Yeah.
called The Twins.
Yes.
So that was a project where they had Japanese anime.
Japanese anime studios each made their own short.
Mhm.
So it was a sort of uniquely Japanese interpretation of Star Wars.
Was it Studio Trigger that got 2 shorts?
Yes, they got 2.
Now, in some cases, those were better
And
stories.
one of them was the twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some cases, some of the stories were better than what you've been seeing come out of
Disney.
Yeah. So it was a kind of a good move, and hopefully some of these they may make them into series. We don't know, really, do we?
They're gonna, from my understanding, there's a potential for a second season, and at least one of the studios wants to do more with their story.
Okay, so in this case, it was and Kari, or AM and K. Am. Sorry.
Are
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's how they're pronounced.
And one's they're both.
So they're twins from the dark side.
I think they're fraternal twins.
Yeah, they're fraternal twins. Okay. So,
Well, one's a boy, one's a girl.
yeah.
So
We got running
running
theme. So they're fraternal twins from the dark side, born into the dark side. They have like a twin star destroyer
Yeah.
that's connected in the center. However, the plot of basically the premise of the episode is that one of them has switched to the light side, and they have a epic space battle that's actually really cool to watch.
All right. So
Really well animated.
what did you think about? Again, that's a little stereotypical, isn't it? One's good, one's bad.
Yeah, but that can't. It was more like
Yeah, it's more of a snippet of a larger story.
Right.
yeah.
These were only shorts. They were like,
Yeah, and you get the impression that one of them turned good, even though they were raised to be evil. And I thought that I thought the premise was actually a really interesting concept for a Star Wars story.
That they also they leave the door open for more, so I actually wouldn't mind if they expanded on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So which one is? Which?
We forgot.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay.
But
it's been a while since we watched it.
Yeah,
right.
But basically, I would want to see more of those two.
Okay.
That's actually an interesting conflict. Twins who end up on opposite sides.
Because you would kind of know what the other one was, not telepathically know what they're thinking, but you would know kind of what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Because you've been raised with them and studied with them and trained with them.
Yeah.
Yes. And they were pretty young too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's continue with our look at twins with Devil May Cry.
Yes. Devil May Cry. So I'll hold up Devil May Cry 5 here.
Get into focus.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
That's right. That's Dante right there.
Okay, and he is a twin.
Yes, his twin brother. He has a twin brother, Virgil. They are. The wiki doesn't say if they're identical or fraternal, but based on Devil May Cry 3, you get the idea that Virgil's hairstyle is basically Dante's hair but slicked back.
Easy to draw.
So they're identical in that sense.
Okay.
At least.
And is one good, one evil? They're both evil.
Okay, so they're both half demon. Demon father, human mother. I think that's how it worked.
Usually that's how it goes.
Yeah.
In DMC, their mother was an angel. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, we're talking about the original timeline. So Dante and Virgil, they're actually interesting because they were both raised together, but they have this constant sibling rivalry. So they're always fighting with each other. And Devil May Cry 3, what they did with that, what they showed was they had clashing ideals because Virgil is more traditional and Dante is more of a rebel. Because Virgil wanted to be like their father, Sparta.
Yeah.
But Dante ended up doing his own thing.
Okay.
And one difference I distinctly remember is that Virgil doesn't like to use guns because he considers them dishonorable.
Okay.
He only uses the Yamato sword.
Now, as I recall, Dante doesn't have that issue. Does he?
What?
He'll use guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
If you want to get pedantic, Virgil uses a gun exactly once.
Yes.
Spoiler. Okay.
And Devil May Cry 5 is where their sibling rivalry kind of comes to a head, especially because Virgil gave birth to Kelp. Virgil had a son. That's what I meant to say.
I was like, wow. Yeah.
Sorry. Words. Anyway, Virgil had a son, Nero. And that actually kind of comes back because Virgil is also kind of a deadbeat dad in that sense.
As so many are.
Man, there's a lot of character development for Dante and Virgil in that game.
Okay. Do we want to keep going, or? Because there's more.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Leo and Luna.
From Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, or Rua and Ruka if you're a weeb.
And why is there a difference in the name as one?
The English
dub tends to change character names.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So if you watched it in Japanese, you would know the other names.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, Joey Wheeler in the original series, his original name was something like Katsuya Jonouchi.
Yeah.
Which roughly translates. So I'm kidding.
But anyway, Leo and Luna are fraternal twins.
Uh-huh.
Boy and a girl.
Leo plays a Morphronic duck, which is basically Transformers.
Yeah. And Luna plays like good luck figuring out what that is.
Something about ancient fairy dragon.
Yeah, but anyway, they're both signers, which
Yes.
is a thing with 5Ds or 5 signers, and their birthmarks collectively form a dragon.
Okay.
Yes.
So I forget which signer birthmarks Leo and Luna had, but anyway, they were twin signers.
Are they major characters, minor characters?
Major characters.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Are they, are they distinct personalities or?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good depiction of twins.
Yes. I remember Leo is more reckless.
Yes.
And Luna isn't.
Okay.
I will say 5Ds, while Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is generally well written, it does kind of lose steam eventually because it likes introducing plot points and then dropping them. And with Leo and Luna, there's a dark signer that fights at least one of them, and DVAC.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's DVAC? He's
got like no personality or backstory.
Yeah, he's just
There.
DVAC.
He's there to round out the numbers.
Yeah, Leo and Luna are actually distinct, and all I will say, I don't remember too much about them because it's been years since we watched 5Ds.
Right.
I just know that was a generally better depiction.
Okay.
For the record, talking about the anime, because in the manga they are depicted kind of differently.
Yeah.
All right. Legend of Korra.
Yes.
There's Densa and Eska.
Yeah, they are minor characters from book 2.
Yeah, too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a bit more. Even though they're fraternal twins, it still falls into the idea of I can't tell them apart. As they dress nearly identically, they're both like very deadpan and serious, like overly serious. And
I know I looked it up recently. I looked it up recently and I still forgot who is who. But I remember the girl was kind of a psycho.
Yes, because Bolin forgot which one was which, and she declared Bolin as like her pet or something. So she flew off the handle.
Okay. So the final one we have on our list is No More Heroes, and it's Travis Touchdown and Henry Cooldown.
Yeah. Okay, so I will say the twin angle for them is a twist from the end of the first game. The true ending. Man, we got No More Heroes there.
Designed by Yusuke Kozuki, the character designer.
Yeah. So they are, even though they're both guys, but they're fraternal twins.
Okay.
Which is entirely possible in real life.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. No.
But people don't usually think of that as you see with the twin depictions that we normally talked about. The fraternal twins are typically depicted as male and female, probably so it's easier to have like different characters.
Well, also you can't be identical and be a male and a female.
Right.
So you're automatically fraternal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, say same-sex fraternal isn't normally depicted.
No, because I think they're trying to get everybody involved.
Now with the original No More Heroes, the twin angle was played as kind of a joke It was like Henry is like, the player should have expected some kind of twist about me.
He's also Irish for some reason.
Yeah, he's Irish for some reason. And No More Heroes 2, their relationship is expanded on, at least kind of. Henry and Travis have distinct personalities, and it seemed like with No More Heroes 2, it's like Henry tolerates Travis.
Right.
Were they raised together?
No.
Okay.
As far as I know. Well, we actually don't know that much about. We don't know too much about the early life, I don't think.
Okay.
Or at least not that I remember. I'm sure some diehard Suda 51 fan could probably tell me. But this is actually an interesting note to end on, because then we have No More Heroes 3, which is really more of a sequel to Travis Strikes Again than it is No More Heroes 2, if I'm being honest. But No More Heroes 3 is kind of a total character assassination of Henry, because suddenly out of nowhere, besides not sounding Irish for some reason,
or even looking like his original design.
he doesn't even look like his original self. But it's like, I saw a movie, so now I want to kill you. That's it. And then suddenly, in 3, he's also like some cult member, and he kills Travis, but not really, and it has no bearing on the plot.
Shows up, tries to kill Travis, refuses to elaborate further, leaves.
Basically.
Okay.
So I think it was more like what happened was Suda came, because I know they were developed, all the games were developed separately from each other with nothing in mind for actually making a sequel necessarily. So if like No More Heroes 1 that was played off as a joke, and Suda 51 didn't expect to actually do anything with it, and actually No More Heroes 2 was not directed by Suda 51. But No More Heroes 2, that director or whoever was involved more with the scenario probably decided, we need to do something, so they do something with it, and then No More Heroes 3, Suda and Travis Strikes Again, Suda just kind of gave up.
Oh. So we started off talking about Power Square, and I want to sort of bring it back around to Power Square, since we have identical twins as the heroes of the story, main characters right out there, right?
Yeah.
So how, and maybe this is a loaded question since you guys created the characters, helped create them. How do you think the depiction of Marty and Eli Powers is different than the typical depiction?
Well, we do lean a little bit into the twin thing, because, there's still some truth to some aspects of how twins are depicted. Where we depict something that's more realistic with identical twins, which is like pretty similar, but also we're still individuals with our own interests.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And in the case of Marty and Eli, they're similar, like they share most of the same powers, but they also have powers that are different from each other, and they also have their own interests and relationships.
One of the things I kind of like about our characters is they don't actually have to touch to actually have the powers. And I think we kind of played a little bit with one of the powers they have. I'm not giving anything away. Is, telepathy, and we sort of play that off a little bit as they always thought they were telepathic. And one of the things that a stereotype about twins, which isn't true, is that they're telepathic. So we kind of play a little bit off that.
Yeah.
And it's because they have the powers, not because they were born that way. But they don't realize that it's anything different because they're always told twins are telepathic.
Yeah.
So maybe they just believe it.
Yeah.
Until it's shown that it's something else.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of a nice little, playing on the stereotype, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
And they don't dress alike. They do look different, which is how people develop. They don't always. You're not going to always dress alike or have the same length of hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that aspect of it. And I also like the fact they don't change into costumes when they have powers.
Yeah.
I just think that's, you wouldn't do that. Well, let me go help you, but first I have to go change. Anyway.
Or just do it like Sky High where they change instantaneously.
Right. Yeah. I just find that really just, of course, superpowers are unbelievable, but it's just that whole, really? It would just, or when someone, it's sort of the same thing as when someone shrinks, their clothes shrink with them, or they grow big, their clothes go with them. Kind
right.
of deal. It's not how it really would be. But, so, do you think these are more, they're fantasy figures, but are they more realistic, you think, than how twins are really in life? Though there are probably some twins that are very close.
Right. I think so, generally.
Okay.
Or probably.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd like to think so because we're probably a little biased.
Well, they're obviously the best characters ever for twins ever written, so it's just people haven't discovered it yet. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about twins before we wrap up this?
There's probably some that we missed, but we only have so much time.
Yeah, and we're not trying to come off as twin experts, even though you're experts on being twins.
I was gonna say, hopefully we made a point in there. I guess main takeaway is like some of the better examples of twins that we've seen, fraternal or identical, would be Dipper and Mabel. I would say the Cody and Augie twins, at least with the comic. But again, they're
in the movie. They go by pretty quick, and they don't really seem to have any personality.
Yeah. Let's see. And Kaide.
Yeah.
And I want to say Dante and Virgil.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Trevor? Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Also cited Leo and Luna.
Yeah, Leo and Luna are generally better.
Okay.
And as a bonus, I guess Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus from Robots in Disguise.
It's a little curve in there.
So I think that about covers it. Again, hopefully we made a point in our discussion. If you liked this, and if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see more, consider leaving a like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And if you have any thoughts of your own about depictions of twins in media, then feel free to leave a comment.
Yes, we'd love that. All right, so until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
I'm Trevor Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.